Acurx Pharmaceuticals is a publicly held clinical stage biopharmaceutical company developing a new class of antibiotics for infections caused by bacteria. And with me is the CEO, David Luci, to explain more about what the company's doing and where you are business-wise right now. And let's just talk a little bit about your market cap is low, I mean, in terms of publicly traded companies. And then Summit Therapeutics, which is also working on a similar drug as you are, but actually failed phase 3, but they have a larger market cap. So how do you see that discrepancy?
Well, Summit Therapeutics has been around for a long time, as you know, on the NASDAQ. They did fail phase 3. They're analyzing their data, and they're looking for niche indications, as I understand it, down the line from frontline therapy in C. difficile, patients with autoimmune disorders, patients who have been multiple COVID patients, microbiome-related problematic patients. So it's all where they originally wanted to be a frontline therapy company because it's $1 billion opportunity frontline, and now they're, unfortunately, with their phase 3 data, they're down the line. But we wish them well, and we hope that their product gets approved, just like we hope well for our product, because it'll be better for patients with C. diff.
Sure. So let's talk about C. diff a little bit, because I didn't know much about this. What is that? What is your treatment that treats that?
So C. difficile bacteria is in the class of bacteria called Pharmaceuticals, which some level of Pharmaceuticals are required in your microbiome. You have 6 classes of bacteria in your microbiome. That's positive bacteria that makes you not get infected by, every bacteria that comes through your system, your GI tract. It protects you from getting diabetes and cancer and other diseases. Unfortunately, the C. difficile, which is one of the Pharmaceuticals, when it colonizes, because of an imbalance in your microbiome, it colonizes through your GI tract in your colon, and it kills 29,000 people a year. Most people get it either in a hospital setting or in a nursing home.
Interesting.
So you go in for a hip replacement or a knee replacement, and you come into contact with this bacteria, it colonizes, and you wind up with a worse problem than you went in for.
Yeah, oh goodness, okay. So does the company need funds? Like, where are you with that right now?
We have the funding that we need to get through this critical phase 2B trial that we're in with our ibezapolstat treating patients with C. difficile. The data's been amazing thus far. We're over 25% enrolled at this point, and we're analyzing options for how to speed things up with enrollment and to try to close out our phase 2B as soon as possible, so that hopefully we can move on to phase 3. And that'll depend a bit on the data, and we're kind of analyzing that right now. Yeah. But we are funded now. We did our last public offering in July. We went public June of 21. So we feel fortunate to be where we are. We have institutional presence in our shareholder base. And with the NASDAQ listing, naturally, it helps. If you need money, you can raise it. But our objective, we have a new class of antibiotics. There hasn't been a new class since 1984. It really does belong. Big Pharma wants to have cutting-edge medicine, first of a new class of medicine that's got significantly higher cure rates. We hope that continues than anything out there to treat C. diff. And that really does belong in the bag of the sales and marketing folks at a big pharma, whether it's an Eli Lilly, a Merck, a Pfizer, like that.
Yeah. No, so you've clearly tapped the capital markets. I mean, what about grants? Are there other ways of funding?
Yes, we file for grants regularly. They come available under RFPs or requests for proposal from Carbex, Wellcome Trust, Gates Foundation. The NIH has RFPs 2 or 3 times a year, and we continue to apply for those, primarily for our earlier stage preclinical product, because that product, the non-dilutive funding is more to get products into the limelight than it is to fund things that are in phase 2B, because say the Wellcome Trust may look at a 2B program and say, okay, this thing is just about ripe enough that a big pharma will take it. Whereas something in preclinical maybe needs an extra push that other drugs just aren't going to get at that level.
And your drug is in phase 2B.
Our lead drug, yes.
Lead drug right now. So if it's successful, do you think this will be used frontline instead of the current treatment, vancomycin? Am I even saying that right?
Vancomycin.
Vancomycin, okay.
Yeah, you know, so we think our drug would be used frontline. We're sure of it, in fact, if the data continues that we've already seen.
Okay.
So why do I say that? And by the way, those who write the treatment guidelines from the Infectious Disease Society of America tell us that if one of the new drugs gets approved to treat C. diff infection, vancomycin will no longer even be on the recommended list because it's got a 20 to 40% recurrence rate. So you cure the infection, and then a month later it's back. And it just keeps happening again and again and again. So it's 60 years old. It's got serious misgivings for a frontline therapy in any indication. So yeah, what we do is we restore the microbiome, so the healthy bacteria that protects a person in the gut from getting any disease, in addition to getting reinfected with the C. diff. We're restoring that by the end of day 3 of treatment, data shows so far. And also at the end of day 3 of treatment, twice a day dosing, we're curing 100% of the infections, which is, you know, it's just not seen. Small numbers, but as I say, if those two trends continue, then we will have differentiated ourselves from all of the products that are out there to treat C. diff. There's very few, but beyond vancomycin, which would be off the list, Merck's fidaxomicin comes to mind, but it too has about a 15% recurrence rate. So our pharmacoeconomic argument to healthcare providers would be, hey, if you use our product frontline, you're going to save all the costs of getting these patients back into the hospital. So you have the hospital visit, all the medicines they're getting in the hospital for the reinfection. So if you use our product frontline, you can avoid all of those downstream costs because there won't be reinfections.
Okay. Are there other competing products as well that are going through clinical trials?
There's a phase 2 program at Crestone, a private company out of Colorado. We understand they're in phase 2, not enrolling very quickly. Being a private company, we don't have a good idea for how they're doing. And beyond that, Seres Therapeutics has a monoclonal antibody that they're using with what they call dealer's choice antibiotics. So you take whatever antibiotic that your treating physician wants to give, plus the Seres lead program product, and their claim to fame is they reduce reinfections by 31%. So what I would pose to Seres, if we get through phase 2B successfully, I would say, well, where's your market of C. diff patients? You know, you have a 500 million or whatever it is today market cap. Your lead program reduces reinfections of C. diff by 31%. But if our program continues and gets approved, there won't be any reinfections. So I would imagine that could lead to some interesting discussions.
Right, right. Well, that seems like a preferable outcome.
Oh, that would be great. I mean,
Yeah.
I like Pfizer, but Seres Therapeutics would be nice.
Right. So if it would get through then the phase 2, phase 3, eventual, I guess it'd be FDA approval.
Yes.
What do you see, what could this mean for your bottom line and market cap?
Well, you know, it's hard. We're in such strange times right now with the financial dislocation in the markets. I look at the past, historically, I see Summit Therapeutics, SMMT, when they announced their phase 2 C. diff data, and it's mediocre data, not like what we're seeing with our product, they had a 225 million market cap off that press release. So I don't know that we'll get from 40 to 225 in one leap like that when we announce our 2B data, but it certainly will be something significantly higher than 40.
Yeah.
Even in a down market.
Okay. And then what about the size just of the overall market for this?
Oh, I'm sorry, it's $1.7 billion.
1.7 billion. Okay, for the C. diff
Yes.
market. Okay. And what about any other products that you have in the pipeline?
The pipeline includes a second same class antibiotic. They're called polymerase 3C inhibitors, and it treats MRSA.
Oh.
Along with other VRE serious threats to public health. But MRSA continues to be, if you think about bacterial infections, in the hospital setting, MRSA infections are still 52% of all bacterial infections. Huh. So it's the biggest incidence. And our drug is kind of a me too cubicin, which is the former cornerstone drug of Cubist Pharmaceuticals, before Merck bought them out years ago. Our second drug has the same kill profile for bacteria that Cubicin had, but Cubicin was only IV, and ours will be IV and oral. So it's in preclinical, but it's exciting, and if we have enough time to get that through into phase 1, by the time we come out with our 2B data, it could be a real exciting time for our shareholders.
Yeah, well, we look forward to that. And I know it's an issue, that hospitals and nursing homes and infections, and some people don't even like to go to the hospital because they're afraid they're going to get more sick when they go. So but they kind of need to be there to be treated. So it's a huge
catch-22.
issue. It absolutely is. Well, please come back when you get your clinical data, and
will do.
let's
Thank
see
you,
how it
Jane.
goes. Thank you so much, David.
Nice to meet you.